At 02:47 a.m. on October 20, 2025, inside Russia's Orenburg gas processing plant, a radar operator watches his screen flicker through the electronic noise of a raging blizzard. The facility is a monster of Soviet industrial might, processing 500 million cubic feet of natural gas every single day, the critical artery keeping Moscow's lights on through the brutal winter. To him, the phantom signals are just birds caught in the storm. He has no idea that 112 minutes ago, Ukrainian intelligence locked on to his position. In exactly 94 seconds, a single Ukrainian drone will trigger a chain reaction, turning this 300 million linchpin of Russia's energy empire into the largest industrial inferno of the 21st century. The weapon package that will accomplish this costs less than a used Toyota Camry. This isn't just an attack, it's a hostile corporate takeover executed with hobby parts. Russia's commanders believed their fortress was impregnable, shielded by a blizzard and $1 billion in air defense. They made one fatal, arrogant assumption. And because of that, their most valuable strategic asset is about to be systematically dismantled. 4 hours earlier, in a hardened bunker near Kharkiv, a UJ-22 airborne drone roared down a makeshift runway. This isn't a commercial toy. It's a Ukrainian-designed mothership with a 500-mile operational range, powered by a modified Rotex 912 engine, the same reliable workhorse found in light civilian aircraft now repurposed for long-range strategic strikes. Its payload is where the mission's genius lies. Tucked beneath its fuselage are 3 FPV drones nicknamed Wild Hornets. Each one is a 15-pound guided missile carrying a 5-pound C4-shaped charge warhead capable of melting 2 feet of reinforced concrete at 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The total payload, 45 pounds of precision chaos, sits just 1 pound over the UJ-22's official limit, a perfect example of Ukrainian battlefield engineering pushing every system to its absolute edge. At 124 miles per hour, the UJ-22 hugs the terrain at 100 feet, a flight profile so low it barely registers above the ground clutter. It's the military equivalent of a Formula One car drafting behind a semi-truck to stay invisible to police radar. Russia's vaunted S-400 air defense system, a 500 million behemoth, is designed to track high-altitude bombers and stealth fighters, not a carbon fiber ghost skimming the treetops. But the true asymmetric advantage isn't the drone itself, it's the weather. Ukrainian military intelligence has developed an AI algorithm that treats meteorology as a weapon. For days, it crunched NOAA satellite data, analyzing pressure systems and jet streams, waiting for the perfect operational window. It found it in a blizzard cell moving across Orenburg Oblast, a storm with 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds and 6 inches of snowfall per hour. This strategy, codenamed Blizzard Phantom, turns the storm into the ultimate stealth technology. Heavy, wet snow absorbs and scatters radar waves, effectively making the sky opaque. It also creates a blanket of thermal noise, masking the drone's minimal heat signature from infrared sensors. Russia's commanders see the blizzard as a shield. Ukraine is about to use it as a Trojan horse. On the other side of the border, the Orenburg facility sits at the center of a formidable defensive web. The Nebo-M radar complex, Russia's premier early warning system, scans a 370-mile radius. Squadrons of Su-35 flanker jets are on standby at nearby air bases. And closer to the plant, multiple Panzer S-1 point defense systems, armed with a total of 48 missiles and rapid-fire cannons, form the last line of defense. At the Orenburg command post, the officer on duty, call sign Bear, feels untouchable. His S-400 Triumph system, with its 92N6E gravestone radar, can theoretically track 300 targets simultaneously, from ballistic missiles in near space to cruise missiles on the deck. But this technological masterpiece has a doctrinal blind spot, a flaw rooted not in its engineering, but in Russia's military philosophy. The entire system is optimized to fight a high-altitude war against NATO. Its algorithms are trained to filter out low, slow-moving clutter like birds, ground traffic, and, as it turns out, small drones flying in a snowstorm. For years, Russian defense expos have hyped the S-400 as unbeatable. They never imagined their opponent wouldn't play by their rules. They built a system to stop a sledgehammer, completely unprepared for a surgical scalpel guided by an AI weatherman. As the UJ-22 crosses 350 miles into Russian airspace, it reaches its first pre-planned checkpoint. It's here that the psychological part of the mission begins. The drone's weapons base snaps open and one of the 3 FP Wild Hornets is released. But instead of diving towards a target, it climbs sharply to 500 feet and activates a small electronic warfare pod. This pod broadcasts a phantom echo signal, digitally manipulated to mimic the radar return of about 50 large birds. On the S-400 operator's screen, the display blossoms with dozens of low-priority contacts. The system's processors, designed to filter out natural phenomena, suddenly get bogged down trying to analyze and dismiss this anomalous flock. It's a digital smokescreen, forcing the multi-million-dollar radar to waste precious processing cycles on digital seagulls. Meanwhile, the UJ-22 mothership remains at 100 feet, completely invisible inside the radar clutter and the storm. Its operator, call sign Viper, sitting in a control station in Kyiv, monitors the 5 GHz data link. The connection is a marvel of resilience, employing frequency-hopping technology that switches channels 1,500 times per second. Russia's Krasuka-4 electronic warfare systems, designed to jam conventional radio frequencies, are screaming static into the storm, but the drone's receiver dances between the interference. It's the digital equivalent of trying to hit a hummingbird with a fire hose. At 02:46 a.m., as the UJ-22 approaches its final decision point, the plan encounters its first major crisis. The blizzard intensifies beyond the forecast's predictions. The thick, moisture-laden snow begins to attenuate the GPS signal from satellites thousands of miles above. Viper watches his navigation display as the drone's position begins to drift, a 20-foot error that could be fatal in the final attack run. This is the moment the Russians counterattack. Detecting the faint electronic signature of the drone's data link, the Krasuka-4 system focuses its full power, unleashing a targeted 100-mile wide wave of electromagnetic energy. On Viper's screen, the crisp 1080p video feed from the UJ-22 dissolves into a waterfall of static. The link is severed. He is flying blind. For 99% of drones, this is a death sentence. It would either fall from the sky or fly aimlessly. But this drone has an ace in the hole. Deep inside its avionics bay is a custom-built 2024 AI guidance processor. The moment the chip detects the catastrophic loss of signal, it takes command. It switches the drone to full inertial navigation mode, a self-contained system that requires no external signals. Using a set of solid-state gyroscopes and accelerometers, the AI calculates the drone's position by tracking every minute change in its velocity and orientation. You can jam radio waves, and you can block satellites, but you cannot jam the laws of Newtonian physics. For 90 agonizing seconds of radio silence, the UJ-22 flies on, guided by its own digital brain. Finally, it clears the main lobe of the jamming zone. Viper's screen flickers back to life. He has control again, but the Russians now have a much better idea of where the drone is. Commander Bear, realizing the bird flock was a trick, orders his Pantsir S-1 batteries to begin firing blindly into the storm, targeting the last known vector of the decoy. The real game is just beginning. 10 miles from the Orenburg plant, the UJ-22 executes its final gambit. It releases its 2 remaining FPV Wild Hornets. They split paths like a magician's sleight of hand. The first, another decoy, rockets upward to 500 feet, its echo repeaters screaming false signals. It's programmed to fly a chaotic, evasive pattern directly toward the Pantsir batteries, drawing their fire. The S-400 screens are now completely flooded with ghost targets, its processors effectively paralyzed. The second FPV, the Killer, dives to just 20 feet above the ground, a snake in the snow. Its 5-pound C4 warhead is armed and locked onto the thermal signature of the primary target, an 800-foot processing silo packed with 1 million pounds of highly volatile compressed methane. Pantsir S-1 cannons come to life, spitting 5,000 rounds per minute into the whiteout. The operators can't see a thing. They're firing at sounds, at phantom radar returns, a desperate act of suppressive fire. Through his now stable 1080p feed, Viper's world shrinks to the glowing pixels of the FPV's camera. He's no longer just an operator, he is the drone. His thumb nudges the control stick, sending the Hornet into a violent corkscrew maneuver, dodging a pattern of tracer fire that blossoms harmlessly 100 yards to its left. Target acquired, Viper whispers, his pulse hammering against his ribs. The silo looms in the camera, a monolithic giant against the swirling snow. Over the Russian command channel, Bear's voice crackles with panic. It's under the snow! Impossible! Their entire air defense doctrine was built on a top-down model. The idea of a threat emerging from the blizzard itself, below their minimum radar elevation, was something they had never trained for. The final 43 seconds tick down like the last moments of a stock market crash. Viper's screen in Kyiv is filled with the image of the Orenburg silo, the steel heart of Russia's trillion-dollar gas empire. His thumbs dance across the controls, making constant micro-corrections to counter the 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds. The drone's inertial navigation system, now augmented by the restored data link, is performing calculations that would make a NASA mission controller proud. Commander Bear, his face pale in the glow of his failing command screens, slams his fist on the console. His billion-dollar defense network, a system designed to challenge F-35 stealth fighters, is being surgically dismantled by a 15-pound drone flying at 120 miles per hour. Its algorithms can't compute a target this small, this agile, moving this unpredictably through extreme weather clutter. The UJ-22 mothership, its primary mission complete, now acts as a dedicated communications relay. Hovering 10 miles out, it ensures the 5 GHz signal from Viper's controller reaches the FPV drone, flawlessly sidestepping the Krasuka 4's desperate jamming attempts. 20 seconds to impact. The Pantsir operators, sweating through their uniforms, are manually slewing their turrets at 100 degrees per second, chasing ghosts in the storm. Their fire control systems, rated to track 80 targets a minute, are still trying to solve the firing problem for the first decoy. The real threat, flying 20 feet off the deck, is using the snow as a shield, a perfect demonstration of asymmetric warfare. 10 seconds. Viper flicks the arming switch. Go time, he growls, his knuckles white. The drone's onboard AI takes over for the terminal phase, locking the 5-pound C4 warhead onto the silo's weakest structural seam, a weld joint identified from satellite reconnaissance photos. The screen shakes as the drone screams through the final 100 feet, dodging one last desperate burst of tracers, like a hummingbird navigating a hurricane. 0. Impact. The screen flashes white, the connection is gone, but the sound that follows, captured by the UJ-22's distant microphone, is an earth-shattering roar. This isn't a simple explosion, it's a masterclass in applied physics. The C4-shaped charge utilizes the Monroe effect. The explosive force inverts a copper cone liner into a hypersonic jet of molten metal traveling at 25,000 feet per second. It slices through 2 feet of reinforced concrete in less than 1/10 of a second. The jet of superheated copper at 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit acts as an ignition source inside the methane-rich environment. The result is a fuel-air detonation, creating a shockwave of over 2,000 pounds per square inch that obliterates 80% of the silo's structure in milliseconds. The chain reaction is merciless. The explosion ruptures the pipelines connecting to 3 adjacent silos. They erupt in sympathetic detonations, sending a column of fire 1,000 feet into the night sky. Burning gas flows across 2 square miles of the complex. Bear is thrown from his chair as the command post's windows shatter inward. His billion-dollar air defense system, outthought and outmaneuvered, was as effective as a dial-up modem in a cybersecurity war. The Orenburg plant, a crown jewel of Russian industry, burns for 3 days straight. The economic fallout is catastrophic. The plant supplied 40% of Kazakhstan's natural gas. 200 million cubic feet per day vanished overnight, sending shockwaves through Central Asian energy markets and cratering Russia's export revenues. The ROI on this mission is almost infinite. A $20,000 drone package effectively torched infrastructure worth $15,000 its cost. In Moscow, the heating grid faces a 20% emergency ration cut, leaving citizens in cold apartments and fueling public dissent. Putin's propaganda machine sputters, unable to spin the loss of a facility deep inside Russia, previously declared untouchable. The strategic impact is even more severe. The fuel shortages immediately slash the logistical capacity for Russia's Donbass offensives by an estimated 15%. Tanks are grounded, artillery batteries fall silent. Ukraine has bought itself weeks to regroup and rearm. From a bunker 400 miles away, a small team running on caffeine and ingenuity bankrupted Russia's winter strategy. Russia's vaunted defenses were humiliated, like a heavyweight champion knocked out by an amateur in the first round. This wasn't just a strike, it was a tectonic shift, proving that in modern warfare, the size of your budget means nothing against the power of a smarter idea. Bye for now.